Thomas, data centers at number one in the Emerging Trends report. I guess what's driving that in terms of the demand and the interest from investors?
Yeah, thanks, Richard. That's a really, really great question. And as you said, in our ULI report, Emerging Trends, regionally but also globally, data center is this year number one and has been under the top 5 investment themes over quite a while. And like in residential and logistics, it's just a fundamental trend we see that this digital transformation, which we see in all parts of the world, in every, let's say, economic activity, digitization is a fundamental theme. And that's where the need to store all this data comes with the need for data center. Yeah, that's a trend we've seen for the last 10 years, and especially now with the AI situation coming on top of that, that see that the need for data center, for new data center, is really increasing significantly over the last 2 years. And the outlook is fundamentally positive with all the opportunities that it brings, but also with the challenges on data security, on infrastructure, critical infrastructure, with potential more and more regulation coming up around that, because you have to host it, as this is a fundamental piece of economic growth for corporates, for countries, for regions, etc., to be top-notch in digital infrastructure, and especially in data center.
There's obviously a challenge in terms of sustainability there and energy usage. I guess, do you see that as something which the real estate side can actually resolve in terms of self-generation and those kinds of elements?
Yeah, it's one of the most critical pieces where when you talk to data center developers, that they reflect that a lot of cities are more and more reluctant to give permission for further data center because they just can't provide currently the power that is needed to perform that. There are some upside, some good news, even if the fundamental growth is there, that on the chip side, the density can be increased and also the energy efficiency can be increased, combining, let's say, the energy use I have in my data center with some investments into wind farms and solar parks. That's something in a combination, it all works out from an ESG perspective in general. But this problem is not really solved yet. But I think the industry and the real estate investors are focusing more on that because you cannot ignore it. Currently, data center need 1 to 2% of global energy. And if you look at the projections for 2035 or even up to 2050, if you just ignore this topic, the energy consumption could be up to 65% from global energy production, which is really unbelievable. So there will be, I assume, there will be market solutions coming up with that, combining the need for energy, improving the energy need, bringing sustainable energy supply in it, combining it with potentially some storage combination, because you always need a stable supply of energy, and also potentially using the heat waste that comes out of the data center for heating up residential space, other space, or potentially for direct air capturing, which is also energy intensive, but you can use this heat again for capturing CO2. The ecosystem is something that's not there yet, but where investors and operators of data center have to look at more in the future.
Great, really interesting to get your thoughts on that. Thanks very much, Thomas.
Thanks, Richard.